All right, welcome back. A quick little update to my news video that I did earlier today, covering some of the stories that weren't quite able to fit on my board. I was mainly covering stuff from Southeast Asia and Western Europe. I wanted to keep all those regions kind of together on the board as they were the most contested of the day. So I'm going to be going over some of the stuff that wasn't able to fit, namely around China. And some of the newer stories that just broke. For example, this first one here, the new Evil Geniuses roster is finally here after like a week of teasing. After weeks of rumors, and yeah, they're true. So first off, taking a look at EG's old roster, they of course had Arteezy playing position 1, Abed on position 2, aka Storm Spirit only. They had Ice 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 playing position 3, who I've said numerous times that I think was their most valuable player throughout the year. And I didn't mean that in the sense that he was their best player. I just think he was their most valuable asset in the sense that he opened up EG's ability to draft anything for him throughout the entire year. I know that, everyone blames Bulba for the fact that Arteezy would play 2 heroes in a whole tournament, or Abed would only play 2 heroes in a whole tournament. But Ice 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 was also a big part of the enabling fact to that, as he was able to play a whole bunch of cheese heroes. I mean, having Ice 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 on your team in a patch where Broodmother is not only strong, but also an offlaner is quite lucky. So it was sad to see them go, but they've gone ahead and replaced him anyways. They had Crit playing position 4, and of course Fly playing position 5, who has now joined Talon Esports, who are playing in the open qualifiers right now. I know that there have been a few streams covering Talon, as it's pretty expected that they make it through these open qualifiers in the lower division. I mean, they are a stacked team, but yeah, it's been exciting. So, and of course, Ice 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 joining Team Secret, if I didn't mention that already. So, looking at the new Evil Geniuses roster, we have Arteezy still playing position 1, Abed still playing mid. Hopefully he plays more than just Puck and Storm Spirit this year. One thing that they didn't change was their coach, Bulba, and I know that maybe a few EG fans are going to be a little bit upset about that, but at the end of the day, if the team feels like Bulba is still doing a good job, still keeping them on top of their game, they did have a fantastic season nonetheless. It's just at their lowest points, it's very easy to point the finger at EG's drafts. So, regardless, Bulba staying around for this stack. We have Nightfall coming into play position 3, previously on Virtus Pro, a top 6 finisher at TI. So, of course, he did better than everyone on EG did at TI. I was a little surprised when he got moved away from Virtus Pro, but if they felt like that was best, then whatever. But now he finds himself in North America. This is not something that's unusual for for Evil Geniuses, even for the fact that they're picking up a Russian position 1 player, moving him to position 3. That's exactly what Ramses did when he joined EG. He was a carry player for Virtus Pro, same team, and he moved to position 3 when he joined. Now, of course, that move didn't exactly work out the way that Evil Geniuses wanted to. I think a big part of that was, one, the language barrier for Ramses. He's not, I don't think, the most fluent in English, which again is not his fault. But also COVID kind of struck in the middle of that roster change, and they just weren't really able to practice all together in the same house. Playing on opposite sides of the planet is kind of difficult, so that roster ended up fizzling out. And now Ramses finds himself back in his CIS region. But yeah, Nightfall joining. Of course, we're going to have to see how this goes. He, unlike Ramses, was not a position 3 player before he became a carry player. So it's going to be interesting to see how Nightfall does. But Evil Geniuses does have the advantage of playing in North America, which arguably is one of the lighter upper divisions in all of esports. In all of Dota, I should say, in all the regions. So they are going to have some time to do some testing, and that might help out their new addition in the position 5 role as well. So Crit still playing position 4, and Jerax coming out of retirement 2 years later, 2 years after winning TI9, the back-to-back run with OG. He comes back. Now, of course, I only think he came back and didn't join OG because of the fact that everyone else on OG wanted to take a break. They felt a little bit of burnout, some of them retiring, like Seb. And so that finds Jerax on Evil Geniuses. And again, this is a pretty good thing, in my opinion, that Evil Geniuses does have the advantage of being in North America, as Jerax has not competed at the highest level for 2 years. And sure, there are some very, very strong teams in North America, some of which have gone through some big changes, like Quincy Crew. Others, like Undying, maintain their rosters from TI10, in which they looked very impressive. This could end up being a North American region where we don't see Evil Genius at the top for a little while, if it is true that Jerax is a little bit rusty, if Nightfall is having a hard time expanding his hero pool or having a hard time adjusting. So it's going to be really, really interesting to see how Evil Geniuses does. They should qualify for the first major, but again, the top few teams of North America are still quite strong. I think their best chance, though, is getting those crucial wins over some of the weaker teams in the upper division of North America. So Yeah, this is an exciting change. Again, rumors were all true, and it's fun to see Jerax back in Dota because, of course, he's one of the all-time best players in all of Dota. Of course, being one of the only players to have won back-to-back. So, yeah, kind of crazy. I definitely was not expecting him to come out of retirement, especially since I made a career video covering his all-time accomplishments in his entire career and all that sort of stuff just a few months ago, and anticipating that he wasn't going to be coming back to the pro scene, and here he is. So, yeah. Next up, moving to China now, covering some more new rosters. This is one that happened earlier today. I just wasn't able to fit it on my board. There's a new RNG, aka Royal Never Give Up roster. And this is a packed roster, considering this is a team that did not perform very well at all in the second season of the Chinese DPC. They, of course, had a very, very solid first season. However, they really weren't able to back that up on the major. Or at the major, and now they're going to be attending the lower division, assuming that Elephant doesn't end up giving them their slot. There have been some rumors that because Elephant isn't going to be competing anymore in the upper division of the Chinese DPC, that they might actually be handing their slot over to RNG, a team that finished bottom 2 previously and was bound for the lower division. But for now, we're all kind of unsure if this is a team that's going to the lower division. However, it is incredibly stacked, so I'll just get into it. Starting off with their old roster. With their position 1 God King. They had mid laner D-Stones, off laner Flyby, who have both now found themselves on Spark Arrow Gaming, a team that had absolutely 0 wins. I'm not even talking about series. I'm talking about individual games. They had 0 wins in their past season in the upper division of China. So hopefully I'm sure they're hoping for a little bit of a better time in the lower division this time around. We have Felix Xiaoba, who's sticking around from that old roster, playing position 4. Red Panda, who played position 5 during their TI-10 qualifiers, as well as Coach OP, who has yet to find a new stack so far. Red Panda as well is still marked as part of the RNG roster. However, it's more likely that he ends up on the inactive roster, if not for another team. But as of right now, he is still a part of RNG. One way or another. So, looking at their new roster, this has basically been the acquirement of the old PSG.LGD from the TI-8 and TI-9 runs. Starting off, God King again playing position 1 for them. They pick up Somnus and Chalice to play position 2 and 3, and X Nova to play position 5. So again, 60% of that team from TI-8 and TI-9's PSG.LGD, the one that finished 2nd place and 3rd place 2 years in a row, is finding themselves on this team. And again, this could be a lower division team. And even though these guys didn't exactly have the best results this year, maybe some underwhelming results on the side from the ones that came from from Elephant, such as Somnus and Super, who of course coached them throughout their second half of the season heading into TI. I'm sure they're hoping for a better run this time around, and it's really exciting to see them get around. Of course, that means that the only members that are not here are FY, who to this date I do not think is on a team yet. I could be wrong. And we have Ame, who is still a part of PSG.LGD to this day, a roster that is still going to be the same heading into this division as they were last year at TI-10. So, yeah, this is a scary, good-looking team. Again, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to pan out. Elephant was a shining example of that in the Chinese region. So we'll have to see. And again, these guys could be in upper division or lower division. It really depends on whether or not Elephant does end up giving them that slot, because we've pretty much heard that Elephant's not going to be competing this year. And we've already seen it once where we already had Hellbear Smashers give Into the Breach their DPC slot because they didn't have a roster for the upcoming season. So it's entirely possible that that happens. And if it does, it's exciting to see that a roster this good does end up immediately in the upper division, keeping the Chinese scene as competitive as possible near the top. So yeah, some exciting news, and kind of segueing from our last little bit of news, of course, I was just talking about how D-Stones and Flyby, previously on RNG, have joined Spark Arrow Gaming, a team bound for the lower division, but I'm sure they're looking for a bounce back this time around, and best of luck to them. I won't spend too much time talking about this because I kind of went off a little bit talking about RNG's new roster. And finally, ending things off, and this is where I kind of wanted to have a little bit of a discussion, because, of course, like I was just talking about, we saw that Hellbear Smashers gave Into the Breach their DPC slot because they weren't going to be using it anymore. Of course, the Into the Breach stack was one that was going to be pretty competitive. They had a pretty good looking roster, but they were going to have to come through open qualifiers. And so to just skip that process, they ended up giving them the slot. And now we're talking about maybe Elephant is going to be giving this RNG roster a new slot as well. So again, it's kind of a weird thing that they're able to give slots to these people, but they are some high name players. They are some big name star-studded players. So it makes sense that they're being given these entries into the open DPC. Well, in North America, we kind of had the same thing going on. However, this time in the lower division, and rather than it being a stack that was bound to make it through the open qualifiers more than likely. This is actually a stack that is not even 5k MMR right now. So what happened is, of course, a few weeks ago we heard that Eternal Envy is going to be stepping down from the pro scene. He, of course, being the owner of a DPC slot in the lower division. And since he did not want to compete himself, or did he have a stack to compete with, he sold his DPC slot to a 3k to 4k MMR team in North America. And this has sparked a little bit of an outrage, and rightfully so, because there are some players that have been working for a very, very long time just to get their chance at making it into the DPC. I mean, there's only 3 times per year where there are open qualifiers, and only 2 teams make it every single time. And now all of a sudden, it can be bought that if you want to pay enough to a player that is not interested in participating anymore, you can just pay them and make your money back from just placing more than bottom 2 in the lower division. Which, if I'm being honest, I don't think these players are going to. If they are really 4k MMR, they shouldn't be getting any results whatsoever. They should be getting their ass kicked most of the time. But it is still frustrating that they're going to be a part of the DPC for about 2 to 3 months. And that is taking away time from actual competitive teams from participating, earning money, getting their names in the pro scene for now. And yeah, so I'll leave this up for discussion. As of right now, nothing has changed. There's no news out from Valve. Again, there's kind of 2 sides of it, where we have it going on in Western Europe and China, where it's kind of a nice gesture, it's kind of helping out. But then we also have the kind of more suspicious side of it, where it can be sold to players who don't actually deserve it. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about this or anything else in the comments down below. Sources, as always, in the description, as well as a link to our Discord server. Feel free to join if you want to have a discussion or anything about that over there. And thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow with another video. Bye.